With Terminator Dark Fate releasing in a few short months, I wanted to revisit my explained series on the lore of Terminator. Obviously, at the time of writing and recording this video, the canon for the universe is undoubtedly in question, as we don't know what the new movie will establish, outside of course of the plot leaks. However, that being said, today I wanted to explore the TRIP, or the T-800 prototype. This was introduced first in Terminator Salvation, the fourth entry to the franchise, and one of the more jarring additions to the franchise, mainly due to the CGI recreation of Arnold Schwarzenegger's face in a time where the technology wasn't fully up to speed, ironically due to the subject matter. The TRIP is thought to be the prototype to the Series 800 Terminator Design Skin Model Designation 101. The model itself was seen in Skynet Central in the year 2018. It's thought to be a prototype or precursor to the T-800 series Terminator that is seen in both Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. As such, it can be theorized with fairly good authority that the Terminator is not that dissimilar to what will eventually come next. It has a similar build, similar structure, and a very similar endoskeleton along with the same weaknesses and same strengths, presumably. The main reason this is thought to be a prototype and not a production model is simply due to where it was discovered and seen in the film. It was in Skynet's R&D facility, which would indicate prototype rather than production and finished model. In the film, when the Resistance was preparing for the invasion of Skynet's buildings in an attempt to destroy the machines once and for all, Skynet attempts to catch two key humans. Two humans that it considers to be fundamental in its survival and the destruction of the Resistance. Kyle Reese and, of course, John Connor. Reese was the only successfully captured human, and as such, John Connor launched a rescue mission with Marcus Wright in tow for assistance. As they ventured deep in the prison cells of Skynet's R&D facility, John Connor stumbles across one cell that was still occupied. Unfortunately for him, a T-800, the TRIP, is what was occupying the room, and it bursts out, knocking him back. John Connor, the steady and firm hand that he is, instantly fires a blast into the machine. This merely slows it down, and the damage is of course minimal. The TRIP then grabbed Connor by the neck and threw him across the room. Now as the fight continues into the facility, we see a T-600 that is just firing its minigun into the void, a malfunction. Interestingly enough, we see this Terminator interact with one another for the first time. It is in fact one of the first times we have ever seen Terminators on each other's side interacting, and the T-800 simply destroys it, bisecting it. Now, in my eyes, this is an interesting turn of events, as we have never, ever seen two Terminators that are working for Skynet interacting before, as every film before this just explored evil, one Terminator, or one good versus one evil. Naturally, of course, the Terminator destroying the malfunctioning one isn't a surprise. It shows the cold, calculating nature of the machines and the void of emotions that they are. As the Terminator continues the pursuit, we again see this, as it hides within a line of Series 700 Terminators, sneaking around, ready to let its fellow machines take the hit first if he were to be discovered. Again, although this isn't surprising in any way, shape or form, it's just a great display of what length the machines will go to take out their targets, and something we hadn't seen before. As the fight goes on, we see the Terminator with its living tissue removed. One notable feature, although a prototype and unconfirmed, is that it did appear to be a little bulkier, but not by much, and this is absolutely, in my eyes, again, although it is unconfirmed, just down to the effects team and the technology of the time. Being able to create something a little larger, but it's another interesting thing to note nonetheless. Now the fight ultimately ends when Marcus Wright, the Terminator human hybrid, destroys the T-800. Whether this indicates that he is stronger or not is absolutely up for debate. It could simply be that when Marcus used the railing to decapitate the Terminator, he had leverage, very necessary leverage, and was of course aiming for key weak areas in the endoskeleton of the TRIP. Now I would say though, the speed and the relative ease at which he did this does seem to indicate some level of potential strength over the Terminator TRIP. Now it is interesting that when we see the two battle one another, that the T-800 doesn't recognise the fact that Marcus Wright was in fact connected to Skynet at a certain point in time. It simply just attacks him and destroys him. Now these machines are capable of learning. They have vast databanks of encyclopedic knowledge of the world due to their interface with Skynet, and yet it basically approached Marcus as if it was another human, albeit one with some differences and key weaker areas. Now again, like I say, this is not a surprise, but it's one of those things which we can look at and say, yes, this is a very interesting expansion to the lore, merely because it has not been shown before. Of course, the overall battle itself is a great way to expand that lore, and it also showed exactly how John Connor, the legendary resistance leader, the destroyer of the machine forces, acquired his scar that we see in Terminator during the flashback sequence. Which, in my eyes, if we're looking at the series as a whole, this is a really quite nice retroactive way to expand the lore, and a very respectful way as well. As said, the TRIP isn't all that different from the T-800 Terminator, but it's a Terminator model that I think personally is definitely worthy of discussion and a pseudo-explained plus story video such as this. So I hand it on over to you guys though. Is this a model that you liked? Were you even aware that it was a prototype? And of course, was this an addition to the Terminator franchise that you found wholly unnecessary? A question that I've been asking at the end of each of these videos, simply just to get a census of what people consider to be good and bad about the series on a whole. Now my personal thoughts, as said at the start, it really did come at a time when facial recreations really shouldn't have been attempted, as it was incredibly uncanny valley. But I will say this, I genuinely commend them for trying, because it really wasn't all that bad, and as a whole, Terminator Salvation really, yes, it took some stabs at the franchise, which, you know, were somewhat misses, but a lot of it landed. It's not an awful movie by any stretch of the imagination. I don't hate it at all. I do think, again, like I said, that it did take some stabs at the franchise, which definitely missed. But as a whole, it really did expand the series nicely. And it was, again, as with most of these movies, a film which was supposed to kick off a trilogy of films. So it would have been interesting to see where they went with it, especially as they were setting it in the future as opposed to in the past, which I think, and again, correct me if you disagree, I think that's really where the Terminator franchise should go. It's been building and building and building and building towards this ultimate battle, the end of days, and yet we have not seen it. We have not seen the future war, only in sections here and there, and it would be great just to flip the entire franchise on its head and go for a more genre film in the sci-fi genre or overall genre. Just have a war film, an all-out war film, I think personally would be great. But anyway guys, I hand it on over to you. What do you think? Good? Bad? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And if you want to stay tuned for more explained videos, plus news and deep dives into pop culture and movies along with reviews, then please do hit that subscribe button. I have actually been producing these explained videos, I just really don't think you've been notified. So if you do want to be notified, please do head on over and follow me on Twitter at Mr. H Reviews, because I share these videos specifically over there, and you will be notified each time I tweet if you set the settings to do so. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Mr. H. Take care.